Hello, Warriors, and welcome back to another episode of the Warrior Pod. I am your host and your Blue Coat, Kirsten Martinez, and today we have a very special guest. We are joined by career and professional development. That's how you know that I need more coffee this morning. And I'm joined with the lovely Jessica. So, Jessica, if you want to introduce yourself and what you do for CPD?
Yeah, so I'm Jessica Donner. I am the Senior Associate and Program Specialist for Career and Professional Development. That's just a really fancy long title. I do a lot of the back end stuff. So I do things like this to promote our services with the help of Kirsten. We run our social media and all of our communications, help with event planning. And I also see student appointments for resume reviews and cover letter reviews and mock interviews. And so I'm here representing CPD this morning. Mm-hmm. And it looks like Menza might be trying to come in. Do you want to come in?
Come on in.
You want to open the door? We locked him out.
There we go.
Is it too late?
No,
we just got started. Come on in. And so Menza just joined us. We'll have him. No, go ahead. We'll have him introduce himself in just a moment. But so I'm here representing CPD to talk about our services and events and what you can expect from us. No, go ahead. And I will let Menza introduce himself. Should I put this on the so that everybody can hear? It won't work. Okay.
Hello, I'm Menza Rag. I'm a graduate assistant / task worker at the moment, working with the CPD, Career Professional Development. Yeah, that's me. Resume reviews, and I help students try to find employment, career, try to help them with their career, advancing their careers.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. That sounds so cool. Like, I love, like, how you guys get all, like, the cool-sounding names. And you and I were talking about this the other day about how, and I was making my resume signature for CPD because I'm also y'all's intern, that on my signature, it's just, like, intern. That's it. That's all I am. I'm just the intern. I don't have any cool name. Nothing too flashy. I'm just the intern, and I even had to add career and professional development to it just so it looked longer. So
it's simple and concise, but it packs a wallop because you are very helpful to me specifically.
I'm glad.
Well, I'm glad you have a squad now of social media. You're going to have another one too soon,
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the goal.
All right.
So speaking of working with CPD, how did you guys end up with your positions?
So I moved here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a military spouse, and so we PCS to Fort Hood. I took some time off. I'm originally from higher ed. I worked for Carnegie Mellon University, so I left them and I came down here, and I was really excited to find out that A&M Central Texas was here. When I started to look for jobs, I actually applied for a couple of positions on campus. I started to work with the student engagement team under Paul York, and then that role was kind of like a dual role where I reported to the previous director for career and professional development. And through working with her, I kind of drank the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
I've always believed in career services and student engagement as well. But I feel like my skills and talents are best used to help promote post-graduation success. And also, I'm really geeky for like formatting and communicating and things like that. So Heather, who was the previous director, and I started talking about a position in CPD. And then when she left the university to work closer to her home in Waco, I was brought on into CPD into this role to help the boat stay afloat while we looked for a new director, who we have now.
Yes.
Her name is Michelle Ballinger, and she is amazing, and she's just moved here from Michigan. hopefully we can have her participate in something like this in the future, because she's a wealth of knowledge. But we're experiencing a lot of change in CPD now, so who knows what this role will be. But I was really excited to find a university that was so close to my home. I used to be a commuter, so I'd spend like an hour and a half in the car one way. Wow. And so this is less than 10 minutes away from my home. Yeah. And I really love it, and I think the campus is beautiful. Yeah. And we have amazing students, so that's how I ended up here. Awesome. How about you, Menza?
Well, once I graduated from the university with a human resources degree, and I decided to go to graduate school. So I was like, well, I used to come up here a lot as a undergrad, all the time, and hanging out in the lobby, or getting an interview, or hanging out with the Blue Coats at the coffee, the old group of folks. But I was always interacting. So I went on Handshake, and I saw there was all positions open. So I applied for every position. Jeremy, he just realized I applied for his one of his positions early back in late 2019. He was like, hey, why didn't you tell me you was trying to work for me? And Career Professional Development was the first ones to offer me an interview. So, and I've been here ever since. Through the COVID and all the other good stuff. So I enjoy it a lot, helping the students, and I did this type of work in the military, somewhat just in the service, as a human resources guy. So it's just, I enjoy making sure the students get what they need, because it's all about making sure they get what they need. There's so many cases, so just try to ensure they're getting the services they need. And the conversation we was you all were having the other day about them not knowing what's they're offered and what's free to them. A lot of the students, alumni, they don't know. Yeah. Because the one, when I was making calls, they were like, can I use you once I graduate? I was like, yes, you can. Just come claim your Handshake account with us after graduation. Right. And I was just like, Jessica just popped in my mind. Like, make sure they come claim their Handshake after graduation. Yeah. And I was like, man.
Yep. We can even convert their accounts pre-graduation. So if it's the end of the semester and they're getting ready for graduation, we can help them transition their student Handshake account into an alumni account. And that's super easy. Basically, all we need is a personal email address, because after graduation, after some time, you lose access to your student email address. And so if we have a personal email address for you, we can convert it over into an alumni account. And then you still receive our communications. You can still schedule appointments with us. You can still do job search and attend events through Handshake. So it's just one more thing to keep in your arsenal as you move forward in your career as an alumni.
I want to kind of chime in a little bit about how I ended up with CPD, because I still technically work with you guys, and I'm still like astonished that I ended up working with y'all, because when I brought it up to Carla, which for those listening who don't know who Carla is, she's my boss. She's the new student programs coordinator. She's my boss as a Blue Coat, and I went to her and I was like, hey, I really want to go into graduate school for leadership in higher ed, and this means like I want to get an internship somewhere. I want to get my foot in the door. Like, Christian's leaving, and I want to just like start working on myself some more. And then she talked to you, and I talked to you. Yeah. And then it just kind of snowballed when it got to Michelle. And when I had my first one-on-one with Michelle to talk about the internship, she was like, by the way, which I thought it was an interview, like to get the job. She's like, by the way, this isn't an interview. So in my head, as soon as she said that, I was like, does this mean that I have it? Or does this mean that, like, I was so
confused. What does this mean?
Yeah, and we started talking, and she's like, yeah, I'll send you the paperwork, we can talk to Jess. And I was like, as soon as I hung up the phone, like, I called my mom, and I was like, I think I have it. I was so unsure, and I was like, because it happened so fast. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen as fast as it did, but I'm really glad that it did, because, the past few weeks I've learned that I love a lot of things I didn't know I would love,
Mm-hmm.
and that I like working on certain things that I never thought I would be working on.
Right.
I never thought of myself as like a marketing social media like person,
Mm-hmm.
because I've always been interested in social sciences.
Right.
So going into this has been a new experience, and it's kind of interesting to learn more about yourself through that. So.
Yeah, so the thing that you needed to do in order to get an internship with us was talk to Carla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all I did. I was like, wow.
The minute that you mentioned it to Carla, she was like, hey, Jessica, I'd like to talk to you. Kirsten mentioned to me that she is interested in potentially interning with you guys. And I was like, wait, Blue Coat Kirsten? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so if it was up to me, I would just be like, okay, great, she starts on Monday.
Yeah.
And I was like, but Michelle was new, and I said, let me talk to Michelle. And so during our next one-on-one, she and I meet every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, by the way, Kirsten wants to intern with CPD, and I think that we need to make that happen. And so we just kind of had a conversation about what I thought you could bring to the team, and some of the questions that she had, and then that led to the conversation that you and I had about what you were hoping to get out of your internship. But yeah, as soon as Carla was like, yeah, Kirsten mentioned that she was interested in interning with you, I was like, okay. Great. Let's do that.
That makes me feel good. It makes me feel so good, because I was so nervous. I was like, it's something that I really want to do, but I know it's like later in the semester, and I knew that Michelle was coming on, so like, I don't know. I'm glad that I stuck my neck out there. Like I told you the other day, like I try to do something every day that like pushes my limitations, especially if it's something that I really want to do, because if not, like, you're gonna live stagnant, and life's too short to live stagnant, in my opinion. So
yeah. Oh yeah, there wasn't even a second of hesitation.
That's cool.
I was like, okay.
well, thanks guys. I'm over here like blushing. I'm like
no, I think that all the Blue Coats are amazing, and they're a really great team. Your guys' team is really fun to partner with on campus.
You guys are always there. You all are doing so much, and I'm so glad that just to see young folks just wanting to be doing something, like, because there's a lot of them that are not doing anything.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you all are trying to take over the world. I'm
They're gonna take over the world. They're not trying. It's happening. We better watch out.
I love, I already talked about this, and I know this is technically like y'all spotlight, but I feel so lucky that, and it all happened by happenstance, because we all interviewed with different people, like, it all happened by happenstance, but we all fit so well together, and all of us are like motivated in so many different ways, and it's one of those things where like, I always go back to networking, but like 10, 15 years down the line, I still feel like even if I haven't talked to them in a few years, if I was to reach out to them again, that connection would still be there, and they're all gonna go and do so many great things because they have such great heads on their shoulders, and I feel very fortunate to have like made friends like them, and like God works in mysterious ways, so it's kind of worked out. And even being here with you guys, like as soon as I walked in, and even before I joined CPD, whenever I had my interview with you and Garrett, I was like, I don't even know how many times I told you, like, thank you for hiring me. Like, and we had such a fun time in my interview, and I was so nervous, so it felt really nice to like just instantly click with some people. And whenever that happens, that's how you know that you're gonna have like a good experience and a good work environment.
Yeah,
because that's really important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The Blue Coat interviews, I got to sit in on 3 out of the 5 Blue Coat interviews. I filled in because of schedule situations, and I was still transitioning into CPD from student engagement, so I was still kind of like in both seats. And so I got to interview Kirsten with Garrett, and then I got to interview Amanda with Jeremy. Who else did I interview? Oh, I didn't interview Hannah or Savannah, but I greeted them and got to chat with them before their interview started. So I provided my feedback there. I don't think we could have done any better with our Blue Coats, honestly. And now you found another one. I can't even believe you just keep like pulling them out of the woodwork. I love it.
Oh, you all have another?
We have another. Yes, her name's Maisha. She is a little ball of fire. Oh my gosh, the girl has hit the ground running.
Okay.
If you haven't seen her yet, she posted her first Motivation Monday yesterday on our social medias. She took it over for me since I'm doing the podcast and a bunch of other things.
All right.
So that's kind of her first project. It's a rather easy project, so we're kind of slowly like assimilating her into that kind of social media-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And she did really good, you know. She's very passionate. She wants to be a doctor in the future. She's a double major in psychology and biology.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's what I said. And she's only 19.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Time to take over.
It's happening. Just get used to it. It's
Man.
happening. The blue coats are coming for everyone.
I know, right?
And we'll just keep on like stealing them away from new student or sharing them with the new student program.
Carla was trying to get me to quit. She was like, if you want to go work full time for them, like you can. And I was like, are you trying to get rid of me? I was like, I can do all 3 of my jobs. Like, it's fine.
I think that Carla, she goes into mom mode sometimes with you guys. And so I think like she just worries that you're stretching yourself too thin, and she wants to make sure that you're giving your full focus to the things that are going to give you the most success. So, but I think the beauty of this suite is having all of these different offices in one place. And so like even if like you have blue coat hours and you have CPD hours, all of our services and things like that bleed together. And they complement one another. And so having that close proximity to all of the teams really don't make it feel like it's 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Or like you have to wear multiple hats. It just feels like you come into the office.
It would be odd
and
if you guys' offices in Founders Hall or something like that.
Right.
You have to walk over there.
We really do, like, the Blue Coats, CPD, and even, like, Campus Rec. A lot of our events are, like, seminars.
But we all support one another, too.
Oh, yeah.
All of our stuff does kind of intermingle. And it's kind of weird because I feel like at other universities, these sort of departments don't intermix, like student affairs, career professional development, and then Campus Rec. Like, it's such like an odd, like, combination. Yeah. But it works. It's kind of like a PB&J with bananas.
With a little bit of banana in there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like, it's a little different, but it still makes sense.
Right, right, yeah. No, I love that. Because I love PB&J. I love it with banana. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is actually the first university that I have been a part of where career and professional development or career services are under the umbrella of student affairs in this way, and reporting up to the same dean or AVP. And so I think that it makes a lot of sense because if you think about student affairs here at A&M Central Texas, we have career and professional development, campus recreation, new student programs, student civic engagement, student counseling, student success, diversity and equity. Is that the
I
think that sounds like the
equity and inclusion. Inclusion. All under the same umbrella. And what that means then is that when there's a student that's working with Donald's team over in the suite next door, and they end up having questions about career development, we're just one stop away.
I just had an impromptu resume review with Hannah Sanchez, a new student worker in the office. They're telling them to come down here and get their resume reviewed. Right. And I sat there with her for like an hour.
Right.
And we just hashed out everything through her resume, and I was just like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I was able to help her out.
Yeah.
No issues, so that was a good thing.
And there's resources. So if we have somebody in our office that's doing a job search, or coming in for a class assignment or something like that, and through those conversations we learn the student might be struggling with food insecurity, or the student shares with us that they are having anxiety about online classes or something. We know all of the people to connect them with for the resources that we need.
Yeah.
So like we could, no problem at all. Let me get Carla to come in and she can talk with you about the campus cupboard. Did you know that that's a resource available to you? Or no problem, we can connect you with Dr. Muna and get you an appointment to talk with her about some of the anxieties that you're having. And so, like, having that connectedness with the people that provide the resources to students really make it easy so that, like, if a student comes into my office, it's kind of like a one-stop shop, right? Get your resume reviewed, learn about the podcast, find out what Campus Rec is doing, go sleep on the field,
Hey.
you know what I mean? And go check out Dr. Ramuna's office and get some support there. So, I feel like that's probably the experience for students that are stopping in all of the suites. So,
And I've always said, like, with every like person that I meet that I talk to about this campus, is that, like, normally, like, in my past universities, I always felt like I was bothering, you know, like, the people who, like, were in charge of these, like, resources. But here, we're not, like, a somebody else sort of campus. So, like, if students do come to, like you said, with a problem with, like, a food insecurity, even though it's not technically your job, you still go out of your way to make sure that student is heard, and feels, like, comfortable, you know, expressing these things to you, because overall those things affect their student success.
Exactly.
And, you know, those things could lead to them, like, dropping out. So, like, you just extending a simple helping hand to Carla, like, even though she's right down the hall, it's like, what, 30 seconds, 5-minute conversation?
Yeah.
And you've probably just, like, snowballed and changed, like, the rest of their student life, because now they know that's there. They don't have to feel insecure. It's private, you know, and it happens every other Friday, so it's consistent.
Right.
And it's based on household too, so it's not just the student themselves, and that's really important. And it's things like that do make a bigger difference. And you and I talked about this before, that students are the reason we all have jobs.
Exactly.
So like, if we're not taking care of our students, and, you know, we're acting, like, selfishly and acting like we're too good to help them or whatever, too busy to help them, then we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing in the first place.
Not at all.
That's not a good thing at
And, you know, I think that we're really fortunate on this campus to have a group of people in student affairs in full-time staff positions that are service-minded. I don't think that there's anybody on staff in the Division of Student Affairs that doesn't think of themselves as a service worker, somebody that provides a service and resources to a very specific group, our students. And so I think, like, that care that the division puts into every day, I mean, every day is a little bit different on campus, especially now with the pandemic and and providing services virtually and creating opportunities and things like that. And so I don't think that there's a single person here. We actually talked about this. I don't think the two of you were in it. We talked about this during a division meeting where everybody in the division gets together online, and we have a meeting, and we were asked, like, what is one of the things that we're most proud of during the pandemic by Dr. Greggs, and I had said, you know, something that I noticed about this specific group of people is that nobody comes into the office or comes online, I guess, or goes to work online, and says that they can't do something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're all able to move very quickly and turn on our heel as things change. You know, like, pre-pandemic, like, as we were getting ready to work from home, everybody hustled and figured out, how are we going to make this work? And so that the first day that we were logging on from home, there were, like, very few hiccups. Like, everybody was connected, everybody was ready and able to talk with students. A lot of us participated in a campaign to call and do wellness checks on our students to make sure that they were adjusting okay and had what they need. And then every office figured out, okay, how are we going to engage with students? How are we going to provide our services? How are we going to let them know that we're still here for them without missing a beat?
Yeah.
And it was incredible to move that fast. And then we got to do things that we always, like, had on our wish list of, like, we hope that we can start to do these things in the future. And we were kind of forced into this space where it's time to do those things.
Every week we're producing new products.
Right.
Every week. It's out there. YouTube.
Yes.
Instagram.
Check it out.
Go check it out.
TAMUCTCPD. Google us. Yeah, we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel, you can see all of the employer spotlights that Menza put together for us. He scheduled all these really great employers that we got to meet with and record. that provide resources like education resources, like free professional development resources, job search assistance, how to apply with their organizations. We get some big heavy hitters in there like CGI and Texas Health and Human Services.
Express Workforce Solutions.
Yeah, and they all talk about how to stand out when applying with them. And so it's kind of like the insider track. Like if you wanted to work with them or network with them, they give you all of the tips, all of the tricks. And then, all right, you gotta step out?
Yeah, I got a meeting later.
All right, well, I'm glad you got to jump.
Thank y'all for the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
We had you on for about half the length of the podcast. That's good.
Yeah, and so those are all on YouTube. And then Kirsten's helping us do an amazing job of talking about our services. So check out those things coming up. And then last week we hosted our very first virtual career fair. Mm-hmm. So we traditionally have a face-to-face fair down in Bill Yao. Mm-hmm. And so this semester we were like, how are we going to connect students with employers? And so we moved into this virtual career space and we're figuring it out. And so it's just really incredible how fast we're able to move with the limited number of people that we have in the office to support the number of students that we have. So it's great.
And we're all very fast workers. And I like how we don't get discouraged, and we take constructive criticism very well. So one of my biggest things that I knew whenever, I got a job, because I've had, growing up, I've worked in fast food and, other jobs where leadership isn't always consistent. They don't provide constructive criticism. It's always normally just criticism and drama. And since I've been here, this environment is just not like that. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've always said, I thrive on constructive criticism. I've always said that I want to be better, and this is how I get better, because that's another reason why I'm a writing tutor and why I want students to come to me with their papers, just because you can read your paper and think it's the best thing in the world, but I can read it and I can point out these subtle mistakes to you that will better you in the long run. Mm-hmm. And that's what every job should do. That's what every boss, leader, whatever should do. Right. You shouldn't take things at face value, because the whole point is to constantly be your better self.
Absolutely.
And I really think that, working here and being a part of the CPD really helps me do that.
Yay. That's wonderful. When I was in college, when I was attending classes, and in the future when I start to pursue my master's, having somebody else look at my papers was something that early on I didn't know was available to me. Mm-hmm. And so, thank goodness for family. I would send my papers to two of my aunts who are incredible women, incredibly successful, and really great mentors to me. And they would give me critiques back, which is really great. But I will tell you that no matter how many times you look at your own writing, as a technical communicator, I know this for sure. No matter how much you look at your own writing, you are always going to miss something. Yes. Because if you stare at something for so long, and the same is true for resumes and cover letters and the things that we help students with, because you know what you're trying to say. Mm-hmm. Right? And so your brain is so smart that it'll fill in all of the missing things or change a word to make it make sense for you, because you know what you're trying to say and what tone you're trying to have. And so having a second look at it, or going to a writing tutor or coming to somebody for your resume review, mm-hmm. it's going to help you get the other side's view, your mm-hmm. audience view, and point out some of those things that can make or break you. Yeah, and I think mock interviews also are a great resource to you, especially if you're like me and have a lot of anxiety about interviews. I'm the kind of person who looks up interview questions before I go to an interview, and I have pre-planned things to say. Yes. And I should have done a mock interview before I came in. I did get my resume reviewed, but in just talking though, because I can look stuff up all day. Right. But talking to another person, another professional, and having that kind of tennis ball back and forth mm-hmm. is a completely different thing, and it can make you feel more prepared and more confident, which
influences, your hireability.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we've been doing a lot of mock interviews, and there's a couple of wonderful faculty members on campus that include career and professional development in their syllabus. Mm-hmm. And so we've been doing a lot of mock interviews. And I actually had a really wonderful mock interview yesterday. I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to throw him under the bus or call him out. But I had a really great mock interview yesterday with a student who is thinking about a career in student affairs, kind of like you.
Wow.
And so they're working on their master's degree. And during our conversation, they mentioned to me that they felt very confident about talking about their work and task-oriented questions, but behavioral questions were the questions that they struggled with the most. Mm. And so we were talking about how to confidently talk about yourself, because they didn't want to feel like they were blowing themselves up or hyping themselves up too much, but they didn't want to feel like they were not celebrating their successes mm-hmm. or sharing their experiences. And so learning to talk about yourself confidently and reflexively is really important. And it's not just important for interviews. It's really important for networking mm-hmm. And also interacting with your peers or your colleagues. Mm-hmm. And so something that I always tell people, we call it a 30-minute pitch, a 30-second commercial, a 3-minute elevator pitch, or, whatever, all of the different titles. Having a way to succinctly tell somebody who you are and what you do and what your plans are mm-hmm. will take you so far. Yeah. It'll make new friends for you. It'll help you get to know your colleagues. It'll help you get the job. It'll help you get promoted. Mm-hmm. And it'll make you more confident when you're interacting with just about everybody. Yeah. And so this person has an opportunity to interact with a lot of students. And so I said, you have this prime space to practice every single day. Yeah. So every new person that you meet, and I'm going to give everybody else the same advice. Every new person that you meet, whether they're somebody in your class, you're joining a student organization, you're at the hairdresser with a new stylist. The grocery line might not be enough time for this. But if you meet a stranger in a coffee shop and you strike up a conversation, take advantage of that time and learn how to talk about yourself confidently, mm-hmm. Learn how to talk about your skills and your accomplishments. And then when you're in an interview, it'll happen reflexively. Yeah. Right? Or when you're in a networking situation with the people that work at the company that's your dream company, and you're just hoping to get your foot in the door. Mm-hmm. You'll deliver the mail. You don't care. It'll be a reflex. Yeah. And you'll have that muscle memory, and you'll be able to get through it with ease, mm-hmm. which will then relax you for the remainder of the conversation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Whenever I had my interview for the Blue Coats, the first question y'all asked me was, tell us about yourself. And it kind of I'm just so blunt. I gave my little spiel, and then I said, talking about myself is so weird in the interview. So, which probably isn't a good thing to do. But I was just being honest. I was like, because it can feel weird, and mm-hmm. even now, it's really hard for me to accept compliments. Mm-hmm. It's I do have confidence in myself, but it's different hearing other people come to me and be like, you're doing so good, blah, 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 blah. I say thank you, but it also makes me feel, I don't know, it's sometimes it's just hard to take it.
Because, imposter syndrome, maybe? Yeah. So the same student that I met with yesterday, we were talking about, I said, what do you feel are some of your greatest strengths? And so one of their answers was that they're very detail-oriented to the point where it might also be a weakness. Yeah. Because they will spend so much time fine-tuning a product. And then all of a sudden they're crunching at the end because they've cared so much about all these little details. And I'm going to share a piece of advice that I learned way too late in my life with everybody. Finished is better than perfect. And so I get caught up in those same things. And I think that's where my issues early on with accepting compliments, because I would notice all of those little things that I feel like could have been changed. And so when somebody was complimenting me on my work, I didn't feel like I was ready to receive it because I didn't think it was done, right? And so learning to accept compliments and things with grace is something that comes with maturity and experience, but it's also something that you can practice, like talking about yourself. And so when the next time somebody says, you did a fantastic job, thank you so much for everything that you've done, try this. You're welcome. Just try it. Just try it out, and, like, you'll notice, like, oh, wow, that was, like, super easy. I made that a lot easier for myself.
So, Maisha, our new blue coat, she is, like, the queen of compliments. I've given her that nickname. She doesn't know it. If she listens to this, Maisha, you're the queen of compliments. Because every time she sees me, she is just, like, hyping me up. She goes, you look so pretty today. You are doing so good. You juggle things so well. You know, you're doing so great for yourself. I love your nails. Your outfit is so cute. Where'd you get it? And sometimes it's coming at me so fast that I'm, like, blushing because I'm like, how did I take this?
You can just be like, thank you.
But when it first happened, because as soon as she joined, there was no awkwardness. It was straight into the, wow, you're so, and I'm like, thank you. And it's good, and it's good to be surrounded with people like that who, like, celebrate your strengths and don't, whatever, like, weaknesses that we have, like, we build on that, you know, like, we don't hold it against each other. We work and we grow together, and that's really important. If I plan on being here for a very long time, but if I ever, or when I do leave TMUCT, it's going to be, I have high standards for a job now. You know, it's something that I did learn from working with CPD and, you know, being a part of the conversations is that you should feel just, the company you're trying to get hired on should feel just as lucky to have you as you are to work for them. You should be valued,
Absolutely.
You know, and that's a really big thing. And that's why it's also important to ask questions back. A lot of people don't. And
they don't.
You should, because, you know, you're going to spend more, like, you spend at least 40 hours, if not more, you know, at this job a week, which is quite a bit of your lifetime, you know, so you should enjoy it. You should know the people you're working for. You should know their values, their morals, where their company stands, and that's something that falls off. And if you ask them questions, they're going to know that you did your research about the company and that you want to know and that you do care about this company.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. So something that I always tell people whenever I'm talking about interviewing, and this is something that I've talked about in my personal life and my professional life, is your work relationships are going to be some of the most important relationships in your life. Next to your spouse or the people that you keep closest to you, these are going to be the people that you spend most of your lifetime with. And time in your life is finite.
Yeah.
And it is an unrenewable resource. And so you can always make more money, you can get more things, but time is finite. And so the way that you spend your time should add value to your life and be fulfilling. Nothing is perfect. There's always the things that you have to do the things that you want to do.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. But finding that balance is really important. And so creating meaningful relationships at work can only happen if you're working with people that are like-minded to you. And so asking questions about company culture and work environment, if those are things that are important to you, should absolutely be asked during the interview. And so something that I like to say, some people disagree and some people agree, and that's okay, is not only are you interviewing to be an employee, but they're interviewing with you to be your employer. And so keep that in mind. Like, whenever you're interacting with people, you might be in the hot seat because you're the one that engaged them into the conversation by applying for their job. But now they're participating in that conversation with you. And that's exactly what it should be. They want to get to know you. They want to learn about your experience and your skills. And you also want to get to know them.
Yeah.
Who are they? What is their team like? What are their expectations? And that's going to help you make good decisions whenever you're making changes in your career or applying for your first job out of college. And so it's not always any job I get I should be grateful for. Certainly, we have all had times in our lives that might be the case.
Yeah.
But if you're interviewing and you're interacting with somebody, asking those questions are going to help you make a good decision for yourself and decide if they're a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
Well, we're reaching close to the normal time that I end the podcast, so
Okay.
I do want to ask you one more question. Sure. What do you wish you would have known before starting college or going into the workforce?
Oh, there are so many things because I'm so old now.
Oh, my goodness.
I always say to myself, like, if I could go back in time and talk to 18 or 19-year-old me, I would just, like, shake her a little bit and be like, listen to the people around you. There are, you know, like, they're sharing good information that will make your life easier. Stop making it harder for yourself. What I wish I would have known before going into the workforce is I wish I would have spent more time learning what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I changed my major when I was in college twice. So it took me a lot longer to get my degree than other people. And the reason is because I went down a path and I discovered that it wasn't for me. And so I changed course and I discovered it wasn't for me. And then I changed course. And at the end, truthfully, it was kind of like, I'm going to finish it no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to finish it and I need to go and I need to figure out who I am and what I want. So I wish I would have known that. I wish I would have known about services like career and professional development and writing centers and tutoring centers and things like that. I learned about those things later in my college career, and I think if I would have known and taken advantage of those things earlier, there were a couple, I won't lie, there were a couple of services that I knew about out the gate because they tell you about them during orientation, and I thought, I don't need those. Wrong.
False.
So wrong. So I think the biggest things are probably, I wish that I would have taken time to explore who I am and what I wanted earlier, instead of waiting until near the end and then just like finishing it to finish it and then figuring it out later in life.
Yeah.
So I think college is a really great time to do that. And so if I would have taken advantage of the services like career exploration and self-assessments and tutoring for some classes, I probably would have had a more positive college experience. I probably would have figured out what I'd like to do or what I wanted in my life a lot sooner and would have been a little bit easier for myself. And then going into the workforce, I wish that I would have known how to value my skills and my time.
Yeah.
I was underemployed for a very long time out of college because as a woman in the workforce, and I was also in an IT field when I first left college, which is I'm so old, at the time was not very common. And so I had a really hard time struggling with being able to ask for what I was worth.
Yeah.
In the conversations with potential employers, and then after I was employed with during like reviews and things like that, when it's time to ask for the raise or ask, for the promotion, I was really uncomfortable with that. I had imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like I belonged there. And so if I would have had those skills, if I would have taken advantage of services early on, I think I would have in college had a better experience, been able to figure out what I wanted to do a lot sooner, and then I would have been able to have better success early in my career because I would have had confidence that I didn't have when I graduated. So
for sure. I feel like it, and that's why I do try my best to take advantage of everything that we have here, because I'm the worst like young person ever, and I always say this is because I am so bad with enjoying the journey in life. I've always been this way. Like, I remember being 12 years old and being like, this sucks. like thinking to myself, I want to have a steady job. Like, I want to have my own home. Yeah. That's just how I've always been. So I'm trying to take the time now to really enjoy the process and enjoy the time that I am taking because I love to learn. Like, I'll probably be in college forever, whether it be working or being a student. But, you know, like, I do love it here, so that's... I wish whenever I was back in junior high and high school that I would have known that I would have been okay so early. Because that was my biggest fear. It was, like, turning 18, leaving the house, and not being okay.
Right.
And so, like, now that I am in that, I made a lot of these things, like, happen for myself. It feels really good. So I think that's really important just to acknowledge that. Awesome.
Yeah, you have, like, so much hustle, girl. Like, you're like, this is the time to get it done. This is the time that I have to get all these experiences, because after I graduate, I'm not going to have this time, and blah, blah, blah. And I wish I could bottle that. Wish I could bottle that and then, like, put it in the water supply. Because I think that there are students out there that were like me early in my college career that, I don't need that, or that's not for me. But it is, whether it's like connecting with campus recreation and going on a hike, or sleeping on the rugby field for a night, or getting connected with the Blue Coat Ambassadors, or joining a student organization, or coming to the first drive-in movie this weekend. And connecting with other students that have families. Maybe you have a family and you feel like, oh, I'm like an adult learner and I'm not a young college student. And so all of these services are for young college students. They're not.
Yeah.
The one thing that's really special about A&M Central Texas is that we talk a lot about our students, obviously. Without our students, we don't have jobs, like you said. But we know that our students have families, jobs. They have their own struggles. Some of them are commuting here from other places.
Yeah.
And so we try to create services and events and things like that for your whole family to come and enjoy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think that's really special. I that is also something really unique about us versus the, you know, higher education environments that I've been in the past, where everything is very student focused and we have very, like, quote unquote traditional age students. Here we have such a mix of students from all over and in all different walks of life. So we have, like, really fun puzzles to put together. How are we going to make this work for, like, younger students and students with families and, you know, older students with full-time jobs? And I think we're figuring it out. And hopefully we'll see more students showing up to the things that we're making available.
Sure. And as a sociology student, something that I, like, learned from talking to a lot of our older students is that there's such a heavy stigma on when you should have things done in life. Like, I've fallen, you know, like, I've fallen for it. Like, I by this age, I should have these things. But honestly, like, that's society itself putting that on you. I highly recommend taking a second to evaluate, like, your own life. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, if you want to go to school, go to school. You want another degree, you want your first degree at 55, go for it. Like, who has set these rules and these standards?
Right.
We have, because we make up society.
Right.
So if we want to change that, we have to make those changes ourselves, you know, and it starts small. And we only have, I don't even know the average age in America, like, what, 80, like 75 to 90, I don't know, like, in the retrospect of the span of time, like, that's not long at all. So why take that time to worry about others that you might be around not even half of your time?
Right.
Like, do things for yourself, do things that you love, because at the end of the day, all you really have is yourself.
Right. Absolutely. So. And finding something that's going to be fulfilling and rewarding can only come through exploration. And so very, very few people are born and know what they're meant to do. Yeah. Right? With their time. And so going to school and trying new things and connecting with people, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. I read a really great article about networking this morning because it's kind of my job to know about these things. Even though, like, before it was my job to know these things, I read articles about networking. So, so I found my place, I guess. But I read this really interesting article about, like, 3 things that you can do that anybody can do to improve your network. And so, like, a lot of people, like, die a little bit inside whenever they hear the word networking. Yeah. Oh, they think I have to, like, wear a suit and uncomfortable shoes, and I have to go, and I have to smile for hours, and I have to, like, be sweaty and nervous and not know anybody. That's not always the case. There are a lot of really great ways to network. There's even a lot of free online ways to network right now because of the pandemic. A lot of professional organizations are making more and more virtual networking events more accessible, which is fantastic.
Yes.
So whatever your field is, if you are looking for a professional organization or looking for networking opportunities, come and see us. We'll help you find some. But 3 things that you can do to improve your network, anybody can do, no matter what your comfort level is. You can rely on your friends and family to introduce you to their friends. Mm-hmm. And that might seem like, oh, that's just like a social event. That's like not even network. It is networking.
Yeah, for sure.
Because all these people are coming from different places, different organizations. They all hold different positions, and they know people too. Mm-hmm. So the next time that you're having virtual happy hour with your sisters, ask her to bring a couple of friends that you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so there it is. There's a networking opportunity. Super easy, so relaxed. You don't have to be in a tie wearing uncomfortable shoes. Something else that you can do is take yourself out of your comfort zone just a little bit and join a professional organization. Mm-hmm. And go to one of their events. Whether it's a virtual conference, a virtual roundtable, participating in a chat room, all of those things are going to help you build your professional network. And the third thing, if I'm remembering, what was it? Oh, I can't remember. But I thought that those two really stuck with me because they're really easy things that you can do regardless of your comfort level or where you're at. So maybe you're in the library and you see the same person a couple of computers down multiple times.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself. Yeah. And guess what? You just did some networking.
Boom. Beautiful.
It's done.
Yeah.
And that can be incredibly intimidating to a lot of people. So you're never going to be successful unless you're willing to do some exploration and make yourself a little uncomfortable. So do something just a little bit uncomfortable. Every day is unreasonable. But at least once a week.
Yeah.
And you just never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Jess, thank you so much for joining me on
You're
my
welcome.
podcast.
I'm so glad that I could come, and I'm glad that Menza at least could come and join us for a little bit. I was really excited that he could come and be heard, because almost every student that has an appointment with us is going to see Menza.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you haven't already, make sure to check out CPD social medias. As Jessica stated before, we are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And also follow your Blue Coats. Yes. On Facebook, we're Student Affairs at Texas A&M University Central Texas. And then everywhere else, we're at your Blue Coats. So, yeah, I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.